That's my sister.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hey, gorgeous.
Hello. You made it back home.
I made it back.
Was it great?
Wonderful. Absolutely amazing. I'm ready to go back.
I'm so jealous.
I am so ready to go back.
I know, that's the thing, right?
Oh man, fun in the sun.
I don't know how you do it. I'm telling you, you had a great vacation and you came back and had a 1-year birthday celebration.
I know. It kind of just keeps going.
You know,
life just keeps on going.
It just doesn't stop,
No, it doesn't.
We missed each other when you lived here, but we ended up going to the same church.
Yeah, I mean, I remember years and years ago, Pastor Bernard did a whole series on seasons and summers, spring, fall, winter of our lives, and how if you're in one season, you should not be wearing a bikini in the middle of a snowstorm. What you choose to do needs to be appropriate to the season that you're in, and understand that it will shift. If you find yourself in a winter season, just as surely as winter gives way to spring, it will shift in your life. But in the meantime, what are you supposed to get? What are you supposed to experience? What are you supposed to learn? What are you supposed to hear? How are you supposed to prepare for the next season? And all of that is so important. So I feel like even now with the season that we're in, the question is, how do we maximize the moment, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's not, I remember when I was in a real winter season, my own winter season, and Pastor had already given that teaching, right? And so I was like, okay, because that was one thing I was afraid of in life, was like going into a winter season. I was so afraid of that because everything before that had felt so sunny and vibrant and prosperous and opportunities and just all kinds of things. And so when I started feeling myself going out, I was like, no, please, Jesus, please, no. I was so afraid. But then I had to surrender and say, okay, if that's where we're going, if it's going to be cold outside, if it's going to be frigid, if the opportunities are going to be fewer and further between, all these things, right? If the finances are going to be tight, all the things that can categorize a winter season in our lives, I felt like, okay, Lord, let me just hear you. Whatever it is, right? If I'm not out there like I was, let me spend my time in prayer. Let me spend my time reading the Bible. Let me hear from you. And I'm telling you, he did so many things in that season. He introduced me to my husband in that season. He had me start an organization in that season. He taught me my purpose in that season. I was able to prepare myself as an actress in that season for the next season of opportunities.
Wow. That preached.
So it's like whatever season you find yourself in, we don't have to count ourselves out and just decide throw in the towel, right? It's not done. No, it's just about what is this season about? What am I supposed to get out of it? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to give? And how am I supposed to prepare for when spring comes back around again?
Right. My absolute favorite go-to hold of my heart Bible verse is that Philippians 4, when Paul says, I have learned to be content in whatever state I find myself, whether I am abound or abased. And I live by that, because we really will, all of us, if we keep living, we will go through the seasons. Yeah. And it is that ability to be content, not satisfied, but content, knowing that my God shall supply all my need according. Girl.
Oh.
Yes. So yeah, that just preached that right there, because everybody, there are some people who are in quarantine, but they're in their summer, spring season. It's working for them. There's some stuff they're getting done that they would have never gotten done otherwise. Yes. And there are other people who are lonely and depressed and going through domestic violence and going through poverty and needing food banks. And we just wanted to let you know, from what Edwina just said, we just want to let you know that too shall pass, that season You are not at the end. That season is going to change. So just keep the faith. And if you are going through domestic violence, tell someone, call someone, and leave. There is help for you. So, I mean, that's just such a great word you just gave. Thank you for that. So is that when Abundant Life was conceived?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Really?
So at the time, yeah, because I had just come out of college and I was pursuing life as an actress, early on, but I knew I needed a side job, and I started working with this psychologist in New York. And it was right around 9/11 time, and we were doing all of these workshops predominantly for women all over in Brooklyn and Bronx, Harlem, Queens, Staten Island, and largely in the projects, right? And so in the projects in lower income areas, we were, and then it was funny because my second day, he got double booked. I was just supposed to be observing him, and he got double booked, and he was like, okay, I'm going to have to get out of the car. You take all the material, you go up to the Bronx by yourself. And by the way, it's all in Spanish. Bye. And so after that, it was like this baptism by fire. But after that, he was like, whatever you want to do, the people love you. Like, can you create the programs? Can you create the curricula? Can you, And so I did. It just kind of gave me carte blanche to like really inspire people in my own unique way and find these different areas, right? Of connection and inspiration. And it was so powerful that once I did start working as an actress, every time I would come back, I'd be like, do you have any workshops? Do you have any sessions that I can lead? And I was really missing the women, and they were missing me. And so it's just amazing how when God called, and then eventually his company started moving in a different direction, and God just called me to birth Abundant Life. And so I just started doing a lot more of that and bringing teams together and then going around the country and all of that. And so it just became, he sort of showed me like acting is one part of your purpose, but don't think that, that if you're not acting today, if you're flowing in another gift today, that means that you're not operating your purpose. No, your purpose is higher than all of that. And each of these are just expressions, right? They're tributaries of this beautiful river that God has given all of us with all these talents and abilities. And we just choose in whatever moment, like you're doing with this show, how we're going to demonstrate or manifest our purpose in a particular season.
So what made you guys decide to do Financial Friday? I mean, I loved that series. I hope you're still doing it.
Yeah, we took a little break because we started doing so many other things, but we're definitely going to pick it back up. And Kelvin actually ended up being certified through Dave Ramsey and going through a whole, process as far as that. And so he's been doing a lot of coaching offline, or, Zoom coaching with a lot of different people as far as their finances right now, because that's such a big thing. But we're definitely going to resume the videos. I think as far as Financial Friday, honestly, the catalyst for it was us learning through research that the average Black woman's net worth is $5. And when we found that out, when we found these statistics out, we were like, okay, we cannot sit by. And it started with Kelvin was just always kind of like, he was just this overflow in the house, right? He was like, because people need to know this and people need to know that. And people need to make this choice and people need to understand that. And I was like, Kelvin, well, then you need to talk to the people. Because you're talking to me about it every single day. I'm like, we're going to have to do something about it. He was like, we have to do something about this. And I was like, you're clearly passionate about it. Like it's overflowing in you every day.
Yeah.
So let's figure out how we can be a blessing and how we can put information out there, financially that most of us didn't learn just from 2 and 3 and 5 and 10 and 15 years old. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't learn certain information until later in life and maybe not ever. So we just felt like, okay, if we can get the information to the people right now, then maybe they can do something with it. So whether it was, estate planning or wills, and a lot of people think, well, I don't have that much, so why do I need a will? I don't have that much, so why do I need a estate plan? But they don't realize a lot of these homes, in inner city communities are being taken away just because your mother or your grandmother, whatever, didn't have a will or did not plan for this. I won't be here I won't be here the rest of, eternity. And this is going to have to be passed down. And what does that look like?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many things, budgeting and spending and, taxes, just so many things that we just don't talk about on a regular basis, but we are impacted by it. Or even at the beginning of this thing, it was all like how to apply for the programs, how to apply for aid, unemployment, PPP, EDIL. I mean, so many different programs that are happening. We just felt like, okay, our people need to know about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
That we shouldn't go through a whole pandemic wondering, being paycheck to paycheck, trying to figure out, I've been laid off, what do I do, right? We at least wanted people to be able to have the information. So for those of you who are tuned in, if you want to know anything about Financial Friday, you can go on my page or you can go on at Kelvin Dickerson, and there's a lot of different past episodes of things that hopefully will bless you.
Yes, I love, that's what I always say. That's the one thing that's left out of actor training, conservatory, artist training programs. I mean, honey, we know how to do, but don't tell them how to manage their money. So when success happens, we don't know what to do with it.
You know what? A few years ago, through our nonprofit, we actually started a whole school called Artist CEO. And that was the whole thing, was like finance plans, business plans, life plans, just all of that, and taking artists through a very specific journey so that they could be armed with that, right? Yeah, so I know, okay, I could spend $500 on these headshots, or I could spend $500 getting my rent together for this month. Like, how do I choose? What do I do? And so, and how do I plan for the future financially? Even if I don't see a lot now, right? Because that's what me and Kelvin, before we ever had money or anything, it was like, what do you do when you get it?
Right.
Where do you put it? How do you plan for it?
Right.
So,
I mean,
Linya Gregory Perkins, hello.
Oh,
we need financial help.
Yes.
Listen, so I'm excited. I'm excited about just bringing more programs to people, and just helping people in the ways in which they need it.
But one of the things that really blessed me, that I took really seriously, is you guys talked about fees and how you can have all these little fees that add up, and you look up and you spend. Oh my God! It inspired me to go look at all the stuff.
So glad.
Mm-hmm. See, I've been watching
me that. But you don't know. It's like you put things out there. You hope that people are blessed by it. You hope that people are getting something from it, Mm-hmm. But that's so inspiring. I'm so glad to know that blessed you.
It did, because we do that. We buy something, or we click on, I want to do the keto eating plan. It's only $4. And then you forget you even bought that thing. And it's been years.
Every month for the last 5 years. It's been charging you
you've been paying $4. So, and that stuff adds up. So it just really inspired me to just go look, and really, I cleaned out a lot of stuff.
Wow, that's so great.
I was embarrassed. So now tell me, girl, I cried, Lord, when you all did that finale show. And I was like, I'm the only one crying, but I cry about things like that. But I was really just crying because I was thinking about, one day that happening with the Habs cast, and how sad it's going to be, to say goodbye. But you guys, the finale show was so great, and you did such a great job. Were you excited?
Oh, thank you. I was so excited. I've always, like you, obviously you're clearly a natural as far as hosting, and that's just always something I've enjoyed doing, but to find out that Oprah requested that I host this special, I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my God. So those are, like, of course, huge shoes to fill. And then to find out how pleased she was, that obviously blessed me in a lot of different ways, in more ways than I can even explain right here. And so, I felt, I love my cast like you do. I love my cast. I love them, and we've been through so much life in the time that we've been on If Love You Is Wrong, we've had children, we've bought homes, we've moved, you know, to different
Yeah.
locations, we've gotten married. I mean, we've done so much life together. And
Yeah.
so I genuinely want the best for each and every person. And it's beautiful to know that they also want the best for each other.
Yeah.
So for us to be able to get together and just celebrate the time that we've had together, and also, you know, and then also connect with the fans in a different way too, and
Mm-hmm.
to be able to bring people in to ask questions and share their thoughts and their questions and their feelings and all these different things. I mean, for me, it was just really special, and it was a wonderful way to kind of, you know, culminate an era.
Yeah. It was an era. Tell the people about your first time going to OWN Studios.
So it was pretty soon after I moved to LA, and, you know, it was like, I came out here on a word, you know, like it was a whole prophetic word about me going to LA, and I came, and sure enough, God opened the door, you know, to come out here. And I ended up speaking on this panel, and on the panel was a woman from OWN. I was like, because I always had a dream of working with Oprah Winfrey, and this was the very first year that OWN started, 2011.
Wow.
And here this executive was on the same panel with me. So we just hit it off, and, you know, we had lunch one day, and she was a believer too, and we just totally connected.
Mm-hmm.
And afterward, I was like, you know, do you mind if I go into your building, you know, for OWN, because we were having lunch across the street. She was like, yeah, sure, okay. So we get inside, and there was this huge sign in the lobby that said OWN Oprah Winfrey Network. And again, this was the first year of OWN. So,
Yeah.
you know, so I was so excited. And I said, do you mind just taking my camera and taking a picture of me, you know, with that sign? And she said, yeah, sure, of course. So she did. And I posted it to Facebook that day with the scripture. And it said, wheresoever the sole of your foot shall tread, God will give unto you. And so people literally on that Facebook post started congratulating me, like, oh, praise God. And I'm like, well, I mean, you know, I wasn't even sure what to say because I didn't want to negate it. But it was like, ain't nothing happened. I just took the picture, you know, but I am claiming it. So I just kind of let it be what it was. And the next time I was at OWN was 3 years later, and I was standing in that same spot. And that's when I had deja vu. Oh my gosh, I've been here before. And this time I was there to do press. So I'm there to do press, and I'm looking around. I'm like, why do I feel like I've been here before? And then I remembered that whole thing. So as soon as I got home, I went through all my pictures, and I was trying to find this picture because I remembered that I took it. I couldn't find it. And then I went to Facebook because I was like, I remember I posted it. Angela, I found the picture, and I was shocked. A, by the scripture that I put underneath it.
Yeah.
B, by the date, because the date was 9/9/2011. And our show was debuting, and all the commercials were running 9/9/9/9/9. Everything was 9/9. Our show was debuting 9/9/2014, 3 years to the day that I took that picture and claimed that at OWN. And it's funny because I sent that picture to Oprah that day. I was like, oh my gosh, I just have to share this with you. I came to your network 3 years ago, and I took this picture, and I was shocked to just find out that it was the same day. And she was like, oh my gosh, can I share this with my team? Can I share this with Tyler? I was like, of course you can share it, of course. You know, but even that was how many years ago? That was almost 6 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and so now to kind of have this other sort of manifestation moment as far as hosting the special and hosting on the network and being able to talk about this experience on OWN, you know, and share that picture. And, you know, it just was so many levels of just spiritual confirmation. And I just truly believe, and the same thing happened with me and Tyler, you know, Tyler Perry Studios. I went up there because I had a word. I received a prophetic word that I was going to be working with Tyler Perry. So I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, then I need to do something, right? And what do I need to do spiritually to just receive that
Yes.
word. And so I went up there, and the guard was like, "Ma'am, you don't belong here.
Right.
This is not open to the public." And just as we were about to drive away, I was like, "Kelvin, turn back around." And I just went up to the gate, and I slipped my foot under the gate, and I just said, "Wheresoever the sole of your foot shall tread, God will give unto you." Got back in the car, drove away. The next time I was at that lot, it was because I was starring on a Tyler Perry series for OWN. And it was, "Oh, Miss Findley, come on in. Oh, my goodness, here's your this and here's your that and here's your parking and here's your car and here's your dressing room." And I was like, you have no idea the backstory. You have no idea the last time I was here.
They wouldn't even let me in. You said when you were there the last time, they wouldn't even let you in.
Would not let me in, would not open up the gate for me. And I was like, by all means, come on through. And, I'm just sharing that because we all, like, if we really press in on another level, if we really press in as far as faith and actually taking God at his word and actually believing that he can do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or even imagine, and allow that to be who we are and what we walk with on a regular basis.
Yes. Oh my goodness, we would never have any fear.
The levels, I mean, he's done it for me so many times with my husband, children. I mean, they all were a word first.
Well, let's talk about Mr. Tyler. Did you tell him about that?
One thing I love, and I'm sure you feel the same way about Tyler and about Oprah, is that because they themselves, like, that they've experienced it. You know what I mean? Like, the lives that they're living, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just fall out the sky. And both of them have testified to that. Like, God has done more than I could ever. Oprah's always saying, God can dream a bigger dream for you than you can dream for yourself. That's so right. The fact that they, because that's very rare in this industry, that you can work for people that have a testimony, right? And that can share it, and that, are as successful as they are, but also as connected to people and as connected to God, right? And so to be free in an entertainment environment, to be able to share on that level of just spiritual transparency, without people thinking you're weird and strange and, what's that you're talking about? We don't talk about that here. It's like, for us to be able to have had these jobs where, with Tyler and with Oprah, where it's like, like, they believe, they believe. And so it's really just a sharpening of each other's faith. Like, what happened to you? Let me tell you what happened to me. Oh my God. Look at God.
So you moved to LA on a word. You went to NYU. You studied acting. You are a wonderful actor, but you did all your work. There's a little girl, young lady, somewhere out there that's finishing up conservatory somewhere, and they have dreamed of being on Broadway or moving to Los Angeles and being in film and television. And this was their year to graduate and all their dreams, to start working on their dreams. And now ain't no Broadway, and Hollywood is, maybe gradually coming back. But it's not the world that they had dreamed of. What would you say to that young lady that's starting out and wondering whether they should go back to school or what would you say?
That's so deep. I'm so glad that you even brought up that question. Like, I feel like you even bringing up that question is a reflection of your heart. Your level of empathy, that you would think about that girl, because that's so real. That is so real. I mean, just the way it's hitting me, because I remember being that girl. When I graduated, it was 9/11. Everything had crumbled. I'm in the middle of New York City. I didn't even have a place to live because I was living a couple blocks from World Trade Center.
What?
I didn't even know where I was going to stay. Like, it was the Marshal Guard, the U.S. Guard and guns and just everything. It was so traumatic, and you didn't know what you were walking into. What world are you walking into? Everything seemed to be, collapsing around you, and then you're still trying to figure out, like, well, I had this dream and I had this hope and I worked so hard, and what happens now? And the first thing I will say is, this too shall pass. This too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
It came and it will pass. So whoever is graduating right now into this, just please know, just hold on, hold on just a little while longer, because it will pass. Every generation has something, and some generations have multiple somethings, but just as they've come, they've also gone. And so I just first want to say that. Also, please hold on to your faith. If you know that you are called to do this, if you know that you are called to be in this industry, as my little 3-year-old likes to sing, when Jesus say yes, nobody can say no. She sings that song 55 times a day. Yeah, but it's true. And then she starts saying, "Mommy, mommy, mommy." When Jesus lifts you up, nobody can pull you down.
Oh, yes, Victoria Rose.
Nobody can take you down. So and it's true. So, like, understanding the reality of that if you have a calling and a purpose in this industry, if you have a promise in this industry, regardless of sight, sense, circumstances, it is yay and amen. It is yes. It is yes. Like even this pandemic, it doesn't make sense. Some of the opportunities that are coming and that have come don't make sense in the middle of this time. And yet, again, it's not COVID that's opened the door. It's not your college that's opening the door. God's opening the door for you. He's opening the door for you. Yeah. So look to him that's opening the door for you. And I will tell you, when I first moved here, everything, or I was literally, I had all my boxes by the door, because I had this whole word, I'm going to California, so I boxed up everything. God opened up an opportunity, and I'm like, okay, great. Like, we're going. Oh my gosh, wow. And then all my housing fell through. Like, just, it's now 3 days before I'm supposed to be here and start rehearsals, and I don't have a place to live. I don't have anywhere to send my things. And the show was really questioning, like, are you going to be able to come, or do we need to make some other arrangements? I'm like, nope, I'm coming. And literally that day, I got a call from Viola Davis's husband, Julius Tennant, and was like, you can live with us. And suddenly, my entry into the land of Los Angeles, California, is not homeless or on the street or renting a room. It's with them, and they took me everywhere. They mentored me. They brought me, Viola would take me to everything she was doing and just poured into me in such a way. And so I'm just sharing all of this because it doesn't matter what everybody else's journey is. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world. It doesn't matter what's happening around you. God will carve out a path for you. Yes. If you can just hold on to his hand. But I remember one day sitting in her backyard in front of the pool, and God spoke to me in that moment, and he was like, right now you feel like you're walking on water. I was like, yes, I do. He said, if you keep your eyes on me, you'll be able to walk. He said, but if you look down, you're going to sink. Because, we've all been there in that time of tension where it's like, oh my God, like, what's going to happen? So afraid of the unknown. I was so afraid of the unknown, right? Because I knew God brought me here, but then it was like, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen next? Yeah. And he said, as long as you keep your eyes on me, I got you. You may not know how, you may not know when, you may not know, but if you can settle that part in your spirit that I've got you, it will allow you to walk step by step with me by faith, without fear, and know that I'm leading you to a good place. I'm leading you to a spacious place. Just follow me. And I'm so grateful because, look what he's done.
Look what he's done. Look what God has done. Yeah. To be a woman of faith, what keeps you up at night?
Oh, what keeps me up at night? You know, sometimes like during COVID, or I know at the beginning of it, and now I think about it because I've definitely had sleepless nights, and I'm trying to see the pattern, right? Like what brings those things together. And I think what's brought those things together as far as my sleepless nights has been me trying to control something that's out of my control.
Mm-hmm.
So me trying to, you know, my mind racing, trying to figure out, well, how and what do I need to do and what do I need and how's this part, and, you know, and like those thoughts keeping me up at night, because the truth is I don't have the answer. The truth is that the control is not in my grasp, but me trying to control what feels like an out of control situation, in a variety of out of control situations, is what will keep me up.
Yeah.
Right. And I started realizing, okay, I have to go to bed in a different way. It can't be that I've just done all that I could possibly do, because that's me. I've always kind of been like that. Like I've done all I could possibly do and just pass out. Right.
Yeah.
And then be in the middle of the night thinking about what more I need to do. And then,
yeah.
You know, but really like that whole notion of surrender is so huge, that it's like, wow, if you can even surrender each day, each moment, right? Like with you, it's like, okay, you know, or with me, you know, with all of us, right? The schools are closed and this is closed and church is closed, you know, the playgrounds are closed, you know, just all these things. And it's like, okay, so how can you live in this moment, right? In a healthy way? You may not be able to control this part or that part, but how do you say, God, you know, remind yourself every day, like, you're in control. You're in control. And it was humbling. This whole COVID thing was very humbling, because it will show you what you think is in control, because those are all the things we were crying about. When that shut down, this, and the job I was on my way to, and then that shut down, and all these things. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I really started to think that that was my provider, and that was my provider. Oh, that's why I'm crying.
I'm looking at you, and I want to thank you personally for 21 Days of Happy. I want to thank you personally for Financial Friday. I want to thank you for every place that you have gone to speak, to encourage and inspire other people. You are a blessing, and I know you surrender daily, but I thank you for sharing where you are with all of us. You're a blessing. I know great things, that even greater, I won't say greater things are in store for you and your husband. Maybe even another baby.
Elevate, motivate, create new things. Elevate.
You're not the first person that's tried that. Look, now
I don't have no words.
Okay, right. Because people be, look, they talk with such confidence. You don't be knowing, like,
I'll tell you the truth. I ain't got no word on that. I'm just saying.
Thank you. I'm like, by what spirit are you talking?
You make it look so easy.
You know what? I love it. It's not easy, but it is the best blessing in the whole world. I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed with those babies I just do. But I love you too, and thank you for those beautiful words. That blessed my heart so much.